And we should be live. So yeah, whilst off stream, I did what I said I was going to do, and I sat and stared at a box for about 2 hours so that we could get a bunch of processing units. And also, I got all the other stuff. So we've got like 4 doors to break down, and I think, well, no, 4 doors and the main tech tree to deal with. And I think there's only one of the doors I can't get into yet because I need tech. But all the others, we should have the stuff for now. So, wire go in, cooling system go in, door open.
Lots of memories rushing back. For a moment, I thought they were distorted, but now I realized it was something else. This place is sideways. Literally. This is the Excalibur. It belonged to the expedition. That factory and all those people I was expecting to find, they were a part of it. And so were we.
Oh, more water wheels. Oh. Accumulation 2. And I think it was. We now have access to the next research cores. So in my last playthrough that I did of this a while ago, I must have missed one of those because I never got the blue core at this point. Ooh, better tunneling on the mole as well. Of course, that needs blue, but we can deal with blue. Blue can happen when we've unlocked all of our doors.
We were too late. Only one person would have been in that chair.
Oh, that when you said look up, you meant there. I thought you meant look up to there. Oh, hi, Captain. I bet that sucks. If only I didn't know what was going to be about to happen. Any more bits to scan hiding around? I don't think so. Aha! The flatten technology for the mole.
Very acrobatic of you to find a way up here, Breaker. This navigational sphere is inactive, but your scanner was able to pull a databank entry from it.
Very acrobatic. I have a hover suit, lady. What do you expect me to be able to do if not hover with a hover suit? Or hover pack or whatever it was. So we have... I mean, the mole speed would be nice, but I don't know if that's actually here or if that's somewhere else. It would make sense for it to be around here because the other 2 mole upgrades were. I mean, let's go through a little bit more. Oh no, that's the cube. Yeah, we had yellow cube. Now we have other cube.
This is Colonel Stefan Wagner. Your suit is failing to transmit a signature. Identify yourself.
Paladin? Sir, you're alive!
In much the same way that you are, it would seem. It is a strange thing to be a witness to your own lifeless body.
I was unlucky enough to end up next to mine too, but Yeah.
I'm not sure what we are now, but I know somehow that I am still myself. I am conscious. I am choosing these words. My experience of this loss is emotional.
And you're also still very German.
I'm in no better shape than you are. And this breaker has something wrong with their suit. For all we know, they could be a stack of drones in a trench coat. Either way, at least we've got a body to work with.
Precisely. For now, we must focus on goals that we can achieve. If the sensors from my command bridge were correct, our manufacturing in Sector Victor has been compromised. How far has your exhaustive reconstruction progressed?
Exhaustive reconstruction? Sir, it's the entire sector.
My apologies, Sergeant. I did not realize you had more pressing commitments.
We're rebuilding, sir, but mostly to focus on recovering signals for search and rescue. We can't reach command, we don't have orders, and for all we know, every sector could be exactly like this one. Gone.
Sergeant, your unit could go for months without direction from the surface. That's what deep reconnaissance is about. That's why we chose you to lead it. The resources we came here to harvest, refine, and bring home to Earth are still needed. There is no hardship we can face that does not pale in comparison to the strife that will be visited upon humanity if we fail. Until we learn otherwise, our mission to industrialize this world remains. And rest assured that we will rescue everyone we can to help us accomplish it. But we will accomplish it.
I understand. Either way, sir, we're going to give it everything we've got.
Good. Now let us find our friends.
You hope you both realize that your friends are probably also Cube.
This locker is empty, but the scanner can pick up molecular traces from things it had in it previously. Even if they don't unlock new technologies, scannable objects like these can round out your databank with background information. Keep an eye out for them.
What's the point if I have no technology? Okay, so I guess the other Mortec is not here. Unless it is really well hidden up here somewhere. Which I would not put it past the devs to hide something. Okay. No, I guess no hiding up there. Well, back down the hole we go. Or along the hole. Up, I don't know what direction's really what at this point. Oh yeah, this poops us out into the middle of somewhere that we already been, isn't it? So need to go this way. Also annoyingly encumbered, so I might just like... So I do have a spare container. Oh damn, I could have put it in that container in there. There was a container that we were not doing anything with that I could have dumped it in. How far from the entrance to that place does this lead us? Also, I vaguely was. Oh no, this was not the door that has the mining drill near it. I tried to mine one of the giant green blocks with a mining drill in my like boredom earlier whilst waiting for the processing circuits to happen, and it said you can't do that unless you have a tier 2 drill, and the tier 2 drill was last found, or last closest scannable item for it is such and such place, and such place was next to one of the doors we have to go and unlock. I think that's... we need to go up a little. Yay, there we go. And that should put us on the river. Next to our base. Yeah, definitely need to dump some of this limestone down because we have way too much of it. It's making it hard to move. I think there's a couple of boxes around this corner. Nope, I'm thinking of the other one. The box is up the stairs. Right. Limestone in. There we go, no longer encumbered. Right, so put in the rest of the ore we needed, and we'll put in all of the process we needed, and
terminal upgraded. New technologies and recommended tasks available.
All right, Breaker. You've learned how to get Atlantum the fun and easy way with explosives. Now you have to actually do something with it. Our smelters weren't built to burn it, so turning that ore into ingots won't be as simple as iron and copper. Start by threshing it into a powder.
wait, seriously, we have to... Okay, that's going to be an interesting
You'll also need
one.
to start supplying the production terminal with power from accumulators. See that big plug on the side of it? Yeah, a high voltage cable goes right in there with a voltage stepper on the other end. And make sure the stepper is on a floor with a good power network behind it. Try to find some time to explore it too. You've got more tools now to open some of the doors we've been finding signals for. Places where people might be trapped.
I know. That's why I have stockpiled. We have the cooling systems, the Atlantium ore, the processing units, and the conveyor belt Mark IIs. So theoretically, all of the doors apart from one that we have found so far, we should be able to open. First one is RD. Which is the one around the giant well that got me an achievement when I fell into it by accident. Yeah, I fell down the elevator. And there's a massive well there. And I had to climb all the way back up. It was not pleasant. Right, interact. We have cooling units in there. We have plenty of ore. We'll repair the access doors. Scanner ready to go.
I think this was the main research lab for the sector. Nothing in here was ever any of my business, so it should be a pretty interesting place to look around. I'm up for building some half-finished prototypes if you are.
The RD Research and Development. Ooh, Mark II smelter. Don't mind if I do. Mark II drill.
It looks like maybe they were trying to cook up new alloys in here. This whole place is above my pay grade.
I mean, that...
I remember the lead
I don't
metallurgist,
know.
Mirage. She was untrusting.
I've never seen these kinds of gemstones anywhere in the sector. And I've been to every corner of it.
The last time I was here, they were studying Gaian ore, synaptite, atlantum, materials that were not of our world, but not classified.
Couldn't classify those if you wanted to. Atlantum is everywhere around here.
If they stopped performing research on local materials to import and study something completely unknown, there must have been a reason.
If there was, we won't find it. Somebody wiped every terminal in here.
Ooh. A bunch of cores that we probably don't actually need, thinking about it.
No idea if the scientists were using these plants as scenery or an experiment. They weren't secretive, but they didn't exactly go out of their way to tell people what they were doing either. Personally, I'd toss them into a thresher and be done with it. The plants, not the scientists. You know I didn't mean that.
Well,
Facility
new
access
door.
door unavailable. Refer to display panel for self-repair requirements.
I was not expecting there to be a second door to fix in this place. Although I should have, because of how big it is. I should definitely have thought that through. But that's going to be locking a bunch more stuff behind. Which is a bit annoying. Anywhere else? Don't think we can do anything with the lift. And I'm not going to try floating across with the hover pack, because that's what got me down the hole last time. Yeah, I think that's half of the lab that we can actually do anything with. We need like 200 more advanced circuits before we can even start messing with the rest of it. The other one is up there. I think, cut a hole to before. Let's have a look at the map. There should be. A hole that I had dug. Just finding how I got to the place where I dug the hole. This looks promising. Yes, here we go. Oh yeah, I forgot I tried blowing the door up. Ah.
Facility access door unavailable. Refer to display panel for self-repair requirements.
But this was the Mark II doors and the cooling systems. That's more stat cap, so I think that's increasing capacity. M Hauler Cap 3. No idea what that does. Cool density, so I think that, judging by the icon, that's probably going to be to do with coolant density.
This elevator control console is dead. Fortunately, your suit was built to fall safely from any height. On Calyx, when all of your friends jump off a cliff, you get to jump off too.
That's more tunneling for the mole. Glow moss and cradle root. Ooh, more advanced circuits. Ooh. And improved crank generators. I'm not going to say no to improved cranks. Is that actually all that was up here? I was kind of hoping for slightly beefier technology, if I'm honest. But, oh well. What can you do? Nothing up top, is there? No. Right, so next one to go for is either HA or CB. Turn off that, because we're not going to do that for a long time now. Like almost 5,000 iron and copper frames. That's going to take a long time of grinding to work on. That needs the the advanced circuits. That needs a lot of advanced circuits. That needs Atlantean ingots, which we just can't make yet. Monorail. We can activate monorail tech now. And then we have deciphering technology, so possessing an unknown piece of equipment, unknown tech, use an assembler to craft and then place an unknown number of monorail tracks. I think we can probably do that. What would a factory game be without some kind of train? Hmm? Of course, first things first, we need to put down all of the cores that we found that were for purples, so we can use those extra cores to unlock the blue node, and then we can work out what we need to do to make blues. And then I can realise horribly that I Really wish I'd placed those core composers somewhere slightly better. I did build a ramp up to try and got more space out above them. Didn't really work that well. Although I do have coolant now, so... Yes, sadly the roof of these is the limit. Ah! It's already started filling it out. Yeah. Becoming the outside of the world. Oh god, I have accidentally pushed my... Oh no, there we go. I'm safe. I'm safe. And having the better mole tech would make this so much easier, but we don't have access to the better mole tech until we have access to the blue stuff. Which means we need more of these cores in the first place. Oh, we have actually got a lot in here. We didn't actually need the ones that we got from that last place. These stairs had handle rails. Let's see, what do we need? We need science. We need to make enough room for 13 more altogether. Nope, make that 10 more. Yay!
Task
Blue
inbound.
core's open.
Research core, 480 nanometers, blue. Enables the activation of advanced technologies. Advanced technologies require accumulated electrical charge at time of activation. Insufficient charge will result in tech lockout.
So what do we use to make blue? Purple cores, that's good. Cooling systems and processing units. Okay, so rather than you going in there, we'll put that there. We'll have one coming out for that. You are blue. You go there. And I do have processing units being made under here. If I pull you in there. Pull you out. Oh, that's not. There we go. Pull these out going this way. Oh wow, we've actually. It's because we're running out of belts. Whoops, we just happened to be right next to the place that had more belts. So we'll have you coming down here. And then the last one we needed was the cooling fans, which I think... Were we making those somewhere? I can't honestly remember if we were making those anywhere. Or whether I did them manually. Mechanical components and Silverthorn. Luckily, we have Silverthorn. Plenty of it. We just need mechanical components to go with it. Which we should easily be able to fit in here, I think. I think we're making them elsewhere anyway, but I mean, we might as well. So bring in from there. Lung inserters. Right. Put the lung inserter there. Kill that power floor. And we... Yes, we can. Flatten that down a bit. There we go. I need a gap to be able to pull this out, so do 2 long inserters coming out here. We're going to need to take you up. Just because I like a little bit of spaghetti in my factory. Oh, I like that. You can't do that kind of stuff with Factorio and with Satisfactory. I've got a nice little swirly staircase bit going up like that. And then from here we go up and over. Any more floor? Need even more floor. You cooling fan. You cooling fan. And you up and out. We don't need you to come quite this far in. We're going to want that. Another couple of those. So let's have a fast pulling them out. Two long inserters for the other side of the equation. Try and keep up with the fast inserters. These aren't going to be made fast enough to warrant the use of fast ones. We can pull those out there. And do our usual buffer. And then we're heading down that way, so... I don't want to go that far. I want to go to here. Turn. And then that'll do. Filter insert to go in. Then you will go onto the road to the core composers. I suppose the next thing is to make a new core composer. These ones just are not going to be able to fit them anymore. So, step one, mole, flatten. Hoping I can get a big enough section smashed down. You need to go and get some more power cores though. Not power cores, power floors. Also got loads of limestone again. Got something up here that uses limestone. Did I build a buffer for it that I can dump stuff into? I hope I did. I think it was for... That's the buffer for seeds. You will all make an extract. Going down limestone to here. Did I buffer you? I don't think I did. I didn't. Damn it. Do that there. We'll turn you to go here. And then we can dump the limestone. I was only kind of half doing it. But you know what? It's good enough. I just wanted to get rid of the limestone but not waste it. Right, so let's put those purples in because we don't want to put them anywhere for now. Right, base building, is that where the core composer is in? Yeah. I also wanted. Oh boy, that is a lot of power floors. That thing has been working overtime whilst we've been off exploring. 2, 4, 10, 12 across, with a gap of 3 in between. That's half of what we need. First thing to do with that blue tech is unlock the ability for the mold to take more terrain at once. Because we're going to want to start digging out some area, I think. Right, so that was 6. Nine, 10. Goes to 11, and this would be 12. Four, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. That's good enough for there. We'll connect them all together so there's power. And just so it looks nice, well, not like we don't have like several thousand power floors unused right now. Core composer. You can go in place of the scanner tool for now. In you go. I want the blue ones to take priority for now. The rest of these purples I'm just going to go and dump into here. Same with those cooling fans, we don't need that many. Because it's only one of them, it looks like we are backing up on bits. Yeah, it's going to take a while to get through, but you know what? I don't mind. We've also got plenty of power for now. There were no other doors we can go to, were there? You know what we can look at? Tech tree. What have we got? Mass collect, always nice. But we don't really use it. So, not a problem. Mass deconstruct again. We don't use it very often. But being able to do bigger area will be nice. We don't really use light sticks. So getting the ability to have like different colour ones, not a massive deal. And this would be nice, but we need to find the technology to unlock it first. And that one was called density. Let's have a look at the energy. So we've got the accumulation. We've got the high voltage cable. That one we definitely need to have for the tech. That reduces power of threshers, which I don't see is going to be a problem for us. At least for now, isn't a problem. Monorail, which is just for power for now. The rest of the monorail is going to be here. It unlocks railroad. Facilitates personal transport via monorail tracks. We do have the accumulated charge. We just don't have the tech points yet, but that will happen soon. Gunpipe we can't do yet. That's fine. Don't care. Suit speed again. We'll find it eventually. We could have already missed it, but that's fine. Tool belt we can't do much yet. Monorail system is going to take a lot of tech. Oh, I see. Unlocks railroad. I bet this is so that we can skate on the monorails and Jet Set Radio future it. Or, depending on which game you prefer, Deep Rock Galactic with the pipes. And then this monorail system is the one that lets us move cargo, which is why it costs more, because it's more useful. And also lets us build the monorail in the first place. More dense biofuel, not bad. Better threshing speed and assembling speed, again, not bad. Both of those we're going to want. Biodense stuff is nice. Don't need it quite yet. We haven't got to the point where we've been using the bricks for it. And then we have the mold tunneling with an increased radius, and the flattener for the increased radius, and a better mining speed, which is probably the one we really want to go for first, maybe? Maybe? I'm not sure. Could be a pain. And we're to Atlantean processing, so we can actually do the... So we get Atlantean ore, which we can get via the mining drill 2. I'm guessing that means that then gets mixed with the... Gets crushed to make the powder, which then gets mixed with something else, which then gets melted in the smelter to make the ingots. Judging by the names of these 4 compounds of ingot, mixture, ore, and powder, that seems like the logical step. Take the ore, powderize it, mix it, melt it. I think first step would be just get the assembly speed one. Because that means we're going to make everything faster. Including the cores. You know what, I'm just going to dump those in there as well. We'll do that so they go in double quick. I mean, we still might not be able to actually keep up with the actual rate of production needed, but it's good enough for now. Because like I've done before, what I can do quite easily is whilst we're off stream, I can just chill, leave it running while I'm doing some work. And we'll be fine. Ooh, why are you... Did I really never power you? Also, I was going to say also why are you fiber when you should be stems, but that's fine. I think that's just fiber from a previous mix-up when we were using the wrong line for something. But that will rectify itself in time. Honestly, I do wish I'd made the area for the smelting bigger earlier. Rather than having all this stuff clustered in here. I wish I'd made it like double the size. Just to kind of account for the fact that we're going to have like improved stuff. Although saying that, at some point this is going to run out. But this is the first time I've done like a full-on factory in this, so the fact that this doesn't look terrible with all of its pretty lights, I'm actually fairly happy with how it's turned out. I mean, could it be better? Yes. Could it be worse? Also, yes. But we're at a point now where we're not using up copper quick enough for what we're actually producing. What I really should have done, well, I say really, I probably will do, once I've like got near the end of this run, if I do ever want to do another run, I'll probably like reverse engineer it and go, well, okay, we know we need these things, therefore we need to work backwards. I wonder like how we would do it for a Factorio speedrun. We know what text we would need, and you know that the end goal is a certain thing. So it's possible to calculate, if we need to get to this point, we know we need this many things to get the research done. To get the research done, we know we need these buildings and these technologies to make the research. And you can work your way back through the tree so that you can sort of plan ahead and go, well, okay, if I want to complete it within 2 hours, how many assembler 2s am I going to need to produce, you know, 5,000 of this one thing. I think it's Neilhouse that has the... I mean, it's an old guide now. It's a very old guide, because it's like... It was pre 1.0 Factorio. But he has like a full-on sort of spreadsheet that he uses. So that you can, like, make adjustments here and there to see, you know, where you can, like, save a few seconds or a minute or two. By building an extra couple of things early, so that you have more production for the rest of the year, for the rest of the game. What I'd probably want to do is something similar to that for this if I ever replayed it. I think one of the dev blogs has actually said how many blue and purple science you need to do the entire tech tree. I think it's like 1,500 purple and 1,000 blue or something. But next run that I do, what I'd probably end up doing, thinking about it, since height is one of the biggest issues in terms of stopping it from of like adding things in, I'd probably go to where that massive hole in the floor is, to be honest. Because that might actually be a fairly good place to put the core composers, because that's going to have a massive ceiling to put things in. Okay, yeah, sure, you're going to need a lot more conveyor belts to get there. But if you're smart and automate the conveyor belts early and just leave them to run, I mean, we probably have enough conveyor belts to get down there now. It would just involve us having to dismantle all of this stuff. Which, effort. But then, you know, if you put it down there, if it worked, you could probably fit maybe 4 core composers down there. So they go around the outs. So the elevator would go up through the center, and you've got 4 of these things around you. And that way, as long as you can feed the stuff in, it would have like double the height, possibly triple the height of what we can get for this cabin. Or cavern, not cabin. Just because of the fact that, you know, it stops at a certain point just because of the ceiling. Honestly, I was expecting this to take longer to get to where I am now, based on what we set up going. I was hoping that unlocking all the doors, getting the next lot of blue science going, and then moving on would kind of be it. And that, you know, that would like take us like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get us to the end of the stream, but it's only been an hour and we've already actually done the thing that we wanted, well, I wanted to do. You need iron frames and copper frames. Those ones actually won't be too difficult. We do 3 on each side, I think. Ah, curse you for having a beam there. Ruining my symmetry, I tell you. It's a copper ingot. Copper ingot and copper ingot. For that. And then iron. For these three. All the things to need more of Kindle Vine extract. But I don't think we're going to need to make fast ones to take them out at the other end. We could probably get away with regular ones. But I want fast inserters to go in. Also going to need power flooring over here as well, thinking about it. We go there. And then you could go here. Okay, so power flooring. Also probably a good idea to have it down here anyway, since we're going to need to start plugging power into here soon. Right, quickest and easiest place to get this linked up. Probably over here, actually. And then we just have to go, whoop, and we're all connected. Okay. That likes me game, I know you're connected. There we go. Need to give it a little nudge. There we go, and all that goes into there. All this backlogged copper and all the backlogged iron can go to making the most grindy bit of this, which is the 5,000 of each frame. Which, let's face it, is going to take a while. Even between these three, making 45 of them a minute. It's still like 100 minutes of not doing anything. Just making these things to go in there. We haven't, no, we don't have new equipment. Shame, shame. Oh wow, so the Atlantean needs not only the powder, it needs Kindlevine and Silverthorn extracts. So we might need to set up a new area for growth for both of those just for Atlanteum. And put that near where the Atlantean mines are going to go. I mean, either way, we're still going to have to bring stuff nearby. Technically, conveyor belts would work, but I'm assuming that monorails are better. Hey, Yezzy. I'll drink the drink. I will stretch the stretch. And my posture is checked. I'm sitting down. I'm good. I want to go to bed. I can't because I still technically have like 40 minutes of stream left. I almost started an hour early so that I could go to bed an hour early. Because I had a wonderful experience last night. I don't know if anyone's ever woke up to having their airways completely blocked with stomach acid. So waking up and basically choking to death when whilst you're waking up, and having that be your wake-up call at 2 in the morning. Because that's what happened to me last night. Not the first time it's happened. Thankfully, it doesn't happen very often. But until you wake up in the middle of the night from being completely asleep to being wide awake and in terror of, oh god, I can't breathe, what's going on? It's a very rapid change, and it's very hard to go back to sleep afterwards, because even if you know it was like probably a one-off and you'll be fine. It took me an hour to get back to sleep because I was scared it was going to happen again, and I did not want to. I mean, it is one of the out of all the time I've been alive, it's probably one of the scariest things that I've ever had. And I think I've had it over the course of like the past 5 years. I think I've had it maybe 5 or 6 times, and it's always equally as terrifying. Especially if when you wake up, it happened when you were breathing out. Because your body doesn't want to breathe in because it doesn't want to inhale the stuff that's blocking the windpipe. But you also can't breathe out because you just already did the breath out. And so you have to kind of calm yourself and then kind of like force that last bit of air out of your lungs just to dislodge anything. Yeah, it's unpleasant, and that happened last night, and I did not sleep well. So I'm really tired today. Especially then work comes along and decides to be stressful. So that did not help the cause. And then for some reason I decided I'm going to play the game that involves me thinking, instead of saying let's play some more Roots of Patcha that doesn't involve thinking. Because I'm smart like that. Smart without the A. And smut. I am the smut. Not the smut, the smut. So we have backlog of processors, backlog of fans. Actually, the research cores that we're running low on. What is it that we don't have enough of? Mechanical parts we don't have enough of. Why do we not have enough mechanical parts? Where are they go? Are they... They're also still feeding into there. We don't actually need them to go there right now because we have... Let's see, how many of these things do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Almost 6,000 conveyor belts. Yeah, it is true. At least I got it under control, but that's it. It's one of those things. It's just... It's one of the most jarring things to wake up to. I mean, I've been woken up with, like, fire alarms going off in the middle of the night before, and I've been jarred awake less by that than suddenly can't breathe. There's nothing like I feel like I'm going to die to make you feel wide awake. And then when you realise that it's the wrong time to feel wide awake, it's not good. But yeah, so I am very tired. And I do want to sleep. So I might keep it going for a little bit longer, see if we can't get a bit more of the tech unlocked, maybe. I'm going to do that because that's using purple and we have plenty of purples left. We don't need to worry about that. Threshing speed would increase. You know what? Screw it. The threshing speed can be done. We're going to want it anyway. And it might make things go a little bit quicker in the meantime. And there's nothing... Apart from the monorail system, there's nothing we can get on this tab. And we still need like another 56 blue cores for that. Can get the miner speed increase, but at the moment we're already kind of on... We've already got the miners running as much as we can do, really. I mean, we do want to get the next mining drill, the Mark IIs, but is it that useful for now? Maybe not really. Same with the mole. We're not currently using it, but we will use it more. But at the moment, not so much. Not, at least not until we can actually do monorails, because once we can do monorails, we're going to want to cut massive holes in the world to be able to feed monorails through. And to dig out massive areas to put factory. I mean, I'd love this core clustering thing, but I don't know where to find it. We need to scan the item for it first. I'm gonna guess it's behind one of the locked doors. Let's do accumulation, because that's gonna mean we can actually sort of like... Yeah, we can start feeding more power in. Which means we have more accumulated power to unlock more tech. Okay, so we actually need to have... For the monorail, it looks like the way it works is that every time a monorail is sent off, it might take a chunk of power. So you don't have to like keep it powered all the time. It just has a spike of power to send it on its way. Which will be interesting. Yeah, screw it. Let's get Rail Runner. We're going to need that as well at some point.
Task inbound. Rail Runner. Enables personal transportation via monorail systems.
Like I say, I think that's literally just us grinding on the rails. We just need to be able to build the rails first. So purple is definitely what's holding us back now. I could sneak in another one. Maybe. If I put you there... Copper go in. Mechanical components. Then do that there. Up and over here. We can then do a little swirly like we did with the other thing. Like that. And let's increase the input rate of both of these. I think the thing that was slowing it down was the lack of the mechanical parts, but if we can get 8 mechanical parts into it before it's completed the cycle, I think that is working right. We can now basically keep that producing constantly. I mean, what would probably be a good idea really would be to do this and have 2 of them running. But, you know what? This will do. Like I said before, it's going to be slow. I'm going to need to sort of just like sit and leave it running for a while before the next time. Mainly so we can get more of this blue goop. We've got our purple disco balls going nicely, but we need our blue disco balls. What is essentially happening is we're turning junk into useful things, as per all factory games. I have this wonderful factory going that is totally planned and not just like cobbled together like some kind of maniac. It's totally cobbled together by a maniac. We've got our iron smelting over here on 2 different layers, each having their own set of miners. We have the same over here for copper. Those are both feeding down. We have half the iron and copper going that way, which are currently being made into frames for the giant resource-hungry tech monster. And then the other half of it all is going towards this side of the factory, which is making the useful things. Over here, the bottom floor is growing stuff. The second floor is beating the living hell out of that stuff that was grown to take it into, like, stem form, so we can burn it for fuel, as is the way. Top is turning some of this stuff into useful things. Judging from the fact that we actually have a bit of a backlog of these, I'm thinking we might need another filter to come out, but then again it is also backed up on the line, because these bits of fibre are being fed down here into this to make cubes. And we have a bunch of stuff being turned into stone. A bunch of that stuff, including this blue goo, is being turned into coolant. And then, in turn, being turned into coolant fans, which are helping make that research. And that's really about where we are at the moment. The rest of these like little bits are just like making useful things. Like this is making the floors. This was making the conveyor belts. This bunch of stuff over here is just making things that will be useful. You did beans on toast today. Congratulations, you have become British. Whether you like it or not. That is basically the tour of the factory so far. Considering we've been playing this for like 6 hours, it's not exactly a big factory. I mean, I was mentioning earlier, sort of before you turned, that if I ever did play this from scratch again, I would probably preemptively build massive, massive floors across the entire of this area. So rather than like only making this small section of it, refining, build the entire area over here as giant floor. To have like 2, possibly 3 times the amount of refining going on. And the same with the copper area. Yeah, and build all the way over here. Yeah, it won't look as pretty because there's going to be floor everywhere. But we're factory people. We don't care about pretty. We just want to just like melt the world. That is what a factory worker do. Yeah, now next major step, apart from unlocking some tech. Oh my! This is like only really my first attempt at a proper factory, and I know for what this looks. It looks nice, but it is a mess. I mean, some of the ways that like the belts are put down are just completely like ridiculous. I mean, some of the areas like over here, I mean, that is definitely some work. Yeah, Factorio has the benefit because it's 2D. It's harder to make proper spaghetti. But Satisfactory and this, you can really make some like proper spaghetti with your belts. But you can also, after like me realizing it earlier, make some really quite nice things with belts. If you need something to go upright, you want it to go completely up. You can kind of like make some nice little sort of like. I think that this is probably going to be the most compact version you can do. Because you need to give it that little bit of upright needed. I think theoretically yeah, maybe it doesn't work quite this small, but yeah, you can make some nice little sort of belt towers. I mean, it's going to take like an actual bit of work to do it, but if you want the verticality and making it look pretty, you can. Or you can just do what I did and just say screw it and just make it a line. I only realised you could make the belts look like that when I was trying to sort of like squeeze this bit in here. So to have these come out there, but also go directly above us, there's not enough room to go straight across. So I went up, did a little spinny bit, and then went up. But there's nothing stopping you from doing this same thing on multiple levels going up. Even if it's just sort of like slanted, it might look nice. But there's probably some ways of making this very like pretty. And you do have coloured lights as well at some point. I mean, I know that we've got the technology for it now, but I'm not bothering with it. Would I say I like this over Satisfactory, though? I think Satisfactory is less annoying. Because with this, there is a story attached to it. And so you have to kind of progress parts of the story to unlock certain things. Like, you know, to get to the next level, you have to supply with certain things. That is the same as Satisfactory. But to have access to some of the things, you need to go and unlock certain doors to get story information that also happen to have a piece of technology in that lets you go move the next thing. It's like one of the big things that limits you at a certain point on this is getting the Atlantum ore, the green ore, because you can't use regular miners on it. You have to blow it up to start with. But the technology to get the explosive to get the ore is behind the locked door, which you then need to make stuff to get through the locked door, to get a story bit of information, and then also unlock the mining charge. And then, you know, we have our cubes. These do not defend the polyverse. These are the worst kind of cube. The pointless cube that just sits in our inventory and occasionally says things. Yeah, and a lot of the other bits of like tech advancement, if you don't know where to go already, you have to wait to decipher signals to go to the next place. And to get that, you like these top three, the deciphering signals are eventually, once we've got these done, we will be told a location to go to, which will have things of use. Whether it be items or technology or more story, it will have something there. If you know the direction to go, you can go there straight away from the start of the game. But, unfortunately, then there's the issue of being able to get through some of the locked doors, which you can only do after you've advanced tech levels enough. Whereas, say, compare that to Satisfactory, the story is as simple as, congratulations, you've been dumped on this planet. Do stuff. Make things. Send back to the giant space creature in the sky, whatever, via the giant, you know, cannon. And so while stuff is like locked, certain progression is locked behind tech trees, you don't have to explore. Not unless you want to find more research nodes, but you have a scanner. So it's not like you're wandering around aimlessly. You can run like half a kilometer one direction, do a scan, and you know all the areas around you that have the things that you want, so you can just go straight towards them. You don't get that with this. It's like if and when this iron vein runs out, I'm gonna need to like look at the map and go, well, okay, the next closest iron vein is all the way down here. So I'm going to have to go and put some stuff there, start mining it, and then bring all the ore up to the smelting area. Whereas with Satisfactory, for the most part, depending on the settings you choose, most veins are infinite, from what I know. You'll never exhaust them. Or at least I think that's the case. It might be a mod that I'm thinking of that lets you set them to be infinite. The same with Factorio. If you want it to be like mega rich, you know, really, really hard to use up all of the items in a field, you can just tweak the settings. You don't get that with this. So as far as factory games go, it's good. I like it, hence the reason why I've done like 3 or 4 streams of it. Is it satisfactory in terms of the game, rather than is it satisfactory in terms of liking it? Because yes, for that second one, it doesn't seem to have as... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as streamlined yet as Satisfactory. Though, do have to give it credit, this has only been out for like a month. Satisfactory has been out in early access for like a year and a half, 2 years at this point. So it's had longer to work on getting things balanced and adding some nice things in. This game hasn't had that chance yet. I can tell you what it's a lot better than. It's a lot better than Void Train. A lot better than Void Train. Because that was one of those, that was a disappointment. Even though they fixed a lot of the gripes that I had with it over like 5 updates after I stopped playing it, the damage was done. I don't really want to play it anymore. Because things like, I didn't like the narrator. Unless the game has a really valid reason of having a narrator, like Stanley Parable, the narrator is like the core of the game because it's telling you a story. The narrator in Void Train pretends to be telling you a story, but is essentially just telling you what to work on next. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should go here. Oh, you should do that. It's like, there's a tech tree. I can figure this out. Shut up. Go away. And you couldn't turn him off at the start. So one of my big gripes was not having a separate audio slider for the narrator, so I could shut them the hell up and just have a relaxing game of me being on a space train. That was fixed in a later update. The tech tree, which when I did my review at first, it wasn't a tech tree, it was a tech line. Because you couldn't like focus on like one thing and go, well, okay, I want to focus on this specific type of stuff. I'll go for that, and I'll ignore this stuff that I find pointless because I'm never going to use it. It was like, no. If you want to go to the next tech level, you have to research all of the things in this level first. So you have like 2 or 3 things per level. You have to learn them. When you've learnt all of them, it unlocks the next tier. Repeat for each tier. So there was no tree. It was literally just keep clicking on stuff till you've done it all. They did add in a more tree-like research tree. The problem is, it's still kind of shit. Because all they've done is like separate out a couple of things, so like cosmetic items for the train are in a separate research tree. And certain other things like upgrades for storage are in a separate part of the tree. Fair enough. It's not quite enough. It's no like Factorio tech tree. And so yeah, whilst they did try to make it better after the fact, and I have got to give the devs props for like not just saying, well, we've done the game, screw it, we don't care anymore, we've made money, we're off, we're gonna start making Void Train 2, which a lot of devs tend to seem to do these days. They actually were like, okay, we'll look at the reviews. They looked at all the reviews, saw the things that most people were complaining about, which were things like the research tree, the narrator, and a few other things. And they implemented fixes. So you could choose whether you wanted the narrator. You had the better tech tree, and so on. But, like I say, the problem was that by the time they'd implemented all of that, I'd played for like 4 hours, 5 hours, and I was bored already. So, I put the game down, they put in all of these fixes. I was like, okay, I'll give it another go. I started the game, and I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't care. Because it was boring. I'd already done that start part of the game. I didn't want to go through it all over again. And my old save wouldn't work, because it had a bunch of stuff in there that had been, like, tweaked. And I've got a feeling the same is going to happen with Forever Skies. Which again, good promise. You're in a ship that, you know, floats around, you go collecting stuff, you unlock technology, you learn a bit of the story, you get some lore. All of that fun stuff that we love to do. But the problem was that when it released, it was kind of lackluster. I did my 2-hour stream on it, and ever since then I haven't even bothered loading the game since. I've not refunded it, although I probably still could. But it's just, it was, like I say, it was lackluster and I got bored. It's going to take a lot to fix it. Actually, thinking about that, there's way too many games that I'm having that with, that show a lot of promise up front, and then have a lackluster start. It happened with Void Train. It happened with Forever Skies. It's happened with Junk Punk. Which again, it's a factory game. I should like it. I played it for about 5 or 6 hours, my first run. Got to the point where you get to use conveyor belts. Saw that there was one of the major things you need when you're doing conveyor belt stuff, which was a filter. You know, most games that have conveyor belts that you say, I want this thing to go to that side and this thing to go to that side when it comes to splitting the conveyors up. It didn't have that. So you couldn't automate things with the conveyor belts. You still had to sit there and manually do stuff. And as soon as I realised that, I'm like, oh, well. So much for, you know, doing like a big on factory game thing with this and making a proper factory, because I'm still going to have to babysit the machines and manually pick things up and put them into certain areas. I think now they have got the ability to filter one side or the other on those belts. But again, because I put in the time at the start, I don't really want to go through the early game again. Because the early game is slow. Which is fair enough in some games, it's going to be slow. But at least with things like Factorio and Satisfactory, there's still a lot to do early game. So whilst it can be a bit tedious, there's still a bunch of things to work on to get to a certain point. Whereas with Forever Skies, Void Train, and Junk Punk, the stuff at the start was very grindy. Just running around and just shooting a bunch of like metal area to get metal in Junk Punk, so that you could then start progressing with things. Before you got the ability to have like mining lasers that would automatically gather things for you. Which didn't happen for like a couple of hours. So there's that, and the same thing with Forever Skies. The start of the game, every sort of resource collection is manual, at least up to the 2 hours that I played. When you compare that with, say, Raft, where you start off with the ability to make nets that will automatically harvest things for you. Yet, sure, you have to collect the resources to build them, but you start with the ability to make those things. You start with the ability to make your collector nets, and then you can build loads of them. And then you can focus on doing other things whilst you just passively collect things to help you go forward. Which all of these other games kind of lack. Because all of their automated stuff doesn't turn up for hours. Which, considering most people that buy factory games like, well, say like Tectonica, they're doing it not because of the grind, it's because they want to build like weird ass fucking structures like this nonsense. And have fun trying to think about, okay, so if I've got this here, how am I gonna not only collect things out of there, but also, you know, feed stuff into the side without being able to like properly cross them. So having to like do some like nonsense like this was the best way that I could think about. But being able to like have the ability to automate things and then actually like put your brain into action and think of solutions is like one of the main things I think people that like factory games like this have. And yeah, they want to be able to go, well, okay, my first factory was absolutely shit. What can I improve? Well, I know if I plan the infrastructure out first, I can build it around that, which is why, you know, one of the things I taught Sheepa in the Factorio thing was what the hell a bus was. Because buses are one of the things I've used the most in all of my Factorio games, because I also like the idea of just like 30 conveyor belts lined up next to each other with all manner of stuff on them, because it looks cool. It's also really good in terms of like being able to lay things out. You can't do that in games that kind of only sort of half-ass the factory element. Couldn't do that in Junk Punk. You could try, but it wouldn't look very nice. And then when you reach the end, it would just look all like weird, because you can't do the same level of weirdness with belts as you can in, say, Factorio. And that has been my impromptu review of Tectonica, Forever Skies, Void Train, Raft, technically, and Junk Punk. And also technically Satisfactory and Factorio as asides. I think out of all of them, as much as I hate the whole thing that Factorio did, which was say we're never going to raise the price, we're never going to raise the price, and then they raised the price. And they're also working on, I think, a paid DLC. I wouldn't have minded a price hike if they'd have been honest about it. But they said they were never going to do it, and then they made bullshit about, well, the price of living has gone up, we need more money. It's like, well, yeah, but you've sold 1 million copies at like £15 each. Technically, that means you've earned like 15 million, and there's only like 4 of you doing this job. You don't need the extra money. So it felt a bit dishonest. So it's the only reason my review changed to a negative for Factorio, because of that. It just felt very dishonest of the devs to do that. The game itself, though, if you already own it, is wonderful. I love it. I've got like 3,000 hours in that game. And the mod community around it is also insane. The same with Satisfactory. Absolutely love the game. The devs are much better. I haven't heard anything like weird and shitty about the devs of that. They haven't done price hikes or anything that I've seen. Probably the best of the 3D factory games so far that I've played. And honestly, at some point I would like to sort of go back to it, like just do like a massive modded run of Satisfactory. Even if it gets like no viewers, I don't care, because I like me factory game. Factory game make brain juice go brrr. Granted, it doesn't have, you know, all of these beautiful flashy lights. Yes, I said Satisfactory. And yes, Satisfactory has a really pretty good modding community as well. Oh god, where was it? I think it's through Thunderstore. I think it was Thunderstore, the modding website. But you can basically download a Satisfactory modding launcher, and the mod launcher itself lists all of the mods, and you can say, I want this one, I want this one, I want this one. Like how Kerbal Space Program's mod launcher went in the end. You know, it was a separate program that you loaded up, and it would tell you, these are all of the mods available. These are all the ones compatible with the version you have. Go for it. And you can set up profiles as well in the Satisfactory one, which is brilliant. That's one thing Factorio doesn't have, is, you know, mod profiles. So if I want to play C Block with Sheep again, I have to make sure I turn off all the mods that I like and turn on all the C block ones, just so that me and Sheep are match. And then if I want to go back to playing my normal game, I have to get rid of all the C block ones and put all the good ones back on, and go back and forth and do it manually. Whereas with Satisfactory's mod launcher, I can say, I want this profile to be called Modded Single Player Stream. And then this profile for multiplayer. And then that way, when I want to play multiplayer, I just load the game with the launcher and say, go through the multiplayer one, please. It will turn off all the mods and load the game up nice and easily, just so I can play it, unmodded with friends. Or I can say when I'm playing solo, it's going to be a stream. I'll load up the other mod thing, and boom, I click OK. It loads with all the mods in, without having to like restart the game constantly to update mods or anything like that. Yeah, it's making me really want to play Satisfactory more than Tectonica, I have to say. I think the only thing Tectonica has going for it over Satisfactory is the aesthetic. Because I mean, look, that is just a nice view. They've managed to make a very, very pretty environment. And then they've put a factory game in it. Whereas Satisfactory seems like they did a factory game and then built a world for the factory game to be in. Which is the other way around. It very much seems like the devs of this were like, well, we want it to be in caves, so let's make some really cool cave systems, make it look really nice. Oh yeah, and we also need to make factory stuff to go in it. But like I said, I'm not going to say this is a bad game, because I do like it. Yeah, otherwise, like I say, I wouldn't have streamed it for like, what, 4 or 5 streams now? But honestly, as a solo experience, it's kind of getting a bit tedious. Because it's really awkward to automate large-scale things because there's so little space. And the only way to get more space is getting to this point of the game that we're at now and unlocking some of these things. Like doing that now, the mole should have a bigger option when it comes to flattening. So I can now flatten a slightly tinier, slightly bigger area at once, which isn't that helpful. Considering we're 6 hours into the game, it's not a helpful update. This should be like a 9x9 by now for the first upgrade, and then the next one should be like 15x15. It should have some like real weight to it when you've learned it. You're like, oh my god, that is going to make it like twice as effective. But it really isn't. Or at least it doesn't feel like it is. I mean, that doesn't feel any different to the 5x5 we can do. It just feels the exact same. That does not look like a 7x7. It looks like a 5x5 still. Yeah, it still like really seems like a 5x5, even though we said it was a 7x7. So, again, this game does have the one of the things that puts this, different is that this does have the terraforming thing. So rather than having the free reign of the world like you do in Factorio and Satisfactory, in this you do have to put in a bit of work. So if I wanted to expand, if say I'd fill this entire cavern up with stuff, I would have to dig and make the cavern bigger, which I can kind of see as a good thing. But to do that, I would want to have bigger sizings for tunnel and stuff earlier. I mean, like I say, we're at what, tech level 6 now? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tech level 7, and we've only just really got to the area where we can actually start having some of these bigger areas to mine with, which, I mean, it's going to cut down on the appeal of replaying the game. Like, whilst I did say earlier that if I did ever replay it, I would try and do it like differently, I still don't think I would actually replay the game. Just because the early game is kind of like, meh. Like the first 2 hours, 3 hours. Unless you go in with like a major plan. And say, right, I want to, like, the first thing to do, I'm going to do the power floors, and then I'm going to, like, build a massive, like, refining area. Which is the things I started doing after, like, an hour. Because I wanted to sort of like get stuff done for the stream. But anyway, I've just realised it's 10 past. Yeah, I've managed to get past the 2 hours by babbling, for the most part, pretending I'm some kind of game reviewer. I mean, it's almost like I went to university for games design and had to do a bunch of this stuff to get graded on. I mean, I'll definitely say that they made a better game than I made. The one game that we ended up making was fucking terrible, because I hate puzzle games. The kind of game that would give sheep nightmares. But right, I'm gonna click save. And yes, I would love to quit. Let's say I'm not sure if I want to carry on with the Tectonica now, or whether I do want to just say screw it, jump to Satisfactory, which has more content, quite frankly. I mean, yeah, okay, the start bit is going to be slow. Always is. I do have a semi-started world, but again, there's mods. I do want to mess around with mods in it. Especially, there are some mods that are like very much, this is really dumb, you shouldn't be able to do this, but you can. Things like, there's one in there that I like as a mod, which is being able to make new ore nodes. Because sometimes you want more. So I know that one of the mods that you had, I think you had to get like 500 of the thing you wanted first, and then it would let you make a node of that thing that would be there for permanently. So if you wanted to make another iron node, you needed to mine 500 iron first. And then you could build another iron node. Or if you wanted coal node, you get 500 coal, and so on for all of the bits and pieces. So if you wanted to go like really crazy with Big Factory, you could add more resources yourself to facilitate that. There's also stuff in there about, I know there's one map generation thing where you could change the quality of the veins that were already present. So you could set them all to like very high quality. So they gave the most for each one. So you didn't get like little, some that were good, some that were bad, and some that were average. They were just all good. So you didn't have to worry. So there are those ones that are like, yeah, they're going to affect the balance of the game. But then there's also some that are just like making what you have better, like being able to have Mark II assemblers and Mark II miners and things like that, and just like increasing the tech limits that you can get to. Which mean you can have bigger factory with doing more thing, because you can make things faster. And obviously, like I say, Satisfactory's been going for a good couple of years. It has a lot of mods. It just has mod support to begin with. I don't think Tectonica has that yet. But because it's been going for like a lot longer, it has more stuff in it. And I'd probably find it more interesting to do long term than Tectonica. But it would be a really long playthrough. Unlike Factorio and Dyson Sphere, which both took, I think, about 10 hours each. 8 to 10 hours to go through them for the playthroughs. It would be a lot longer for Satisfactory, let's face it, because Satisfactory is much bigger. Bigger world to walk through. And in some cases you have to move through there to do stuff. Start to find resources. But I've never really like done trains in Satisfactory. I've never really got to the point of being able to mess around with trains and have fun with them. So it'd be nice to maybe try getting to that point. I don't know. We'll see. But I do want to at least have like one factory game running, because I do really like them. And if it is one like Satisfactory or Factorio, I know other people that have that game, and I'm more than happy for them to join in the world and help out. Like, if I ever do like an early stream and you're on, Ezzy, welcome to join in. Come along and help the madness. Or like with Factorio, more than I like playing Factorio with Sheepa, because it's fun. I've got way too many hours in there, and it was fun to sort of like teach him a few like little tricks that I've picked up over the time that he'd not realised about. Things like being able to like pick things up by just holding Alt and clicking a building without having to open the building up, drag the stuff out. It's stuff that I learned from when I was trying to speedrun Factorio a couple of times. You heard me, Ezzy. If I was playing Satisfactory and it was at a time when you were on, you would be welcome to join. So don't you? Huh? You heard full well. But there are some games. I mean, Tectonica, it's new. It does technically have a multiplayer. I've not tried it. I did try getting Sheepa into it the one time, but it just wasn't well that day, so we never did that. But some things like Junk Punk and Void Train, I don't think have the multiplayer implemented yet, if they ever gonna have it. So, and I know Forever Skies doesn't have it in yet, I don't think. But I think that is a plan for at least Forever Skies to have it at sort of like next year. But I would like to have that sort of multiplayer option of some of these things. Which means Factorio and Satisfactory would be good. Also, Dyson Sphere, I don't think Dyson Sphere has it yet. Or does it? I didn't really look into Dyson Sphere multiplayer, because that seems like insanity, quite frankly. yeah, having people on different planets doing different things. What I should do is I should go bed, I know. But I was talking. I was doing the talky talk. I should do first is, and we'll refresh this page, and then I will click on the "Is there anyone online to raid" button. The answer to that is no. Yeah, it's a shame. No one who I know online to raid. No extra points for Ezzy. I mean, not to, to make you feel bad, but I have infinite sacrifices. Not that I actually have anything to really use the sacrifices on. At some point, I really need to look at my my redeems and do something with them. But oh well, that will happen at some point. I've got to actually finish the second model first. But yeah, since there's no one to raid, I guess we just end unceremoniously. And I go do the snork me's. But yep, as always, thank you everyone for watching. It's been fun. Well, okay, that's a lie. Near the end, it didn't get. It started getting a bit tedious, which is why I started talking more than playing. So see tomorrow. Well, technically today now, Friday. No stream later on today, unless I get really bored. But I think what I'm going to be doing is doing some live 2D stuff off stream, working on the new model, getting some rigging done. Now that I've started getting a bit more into that. So next stream will be technically tomorrow on Saturday. Probably some Roots of Patcher. Get some more of that done. Because again, that's a nice chill game. Or depending on how I feel, maybe we'll even get some maybe even do some live 2D stuff on stream or something. I don't know. We'll see. You'll get to see how bad my rigging skills are. And you'll get to see why people pay like £500 for a rigged model. But yeah, so I will disappear now. Thank you everyone for watching,